joined by Mr. Rajiv Talwar, who's the former CEO of DLF, with us on the broadcast. Mr. Talwar, thank you so much, sir, for taking our time to speak to NewsX. I'd like to understand, of course, begin by understanding your assessment of the interim budget, sir.
I think it's an excellent, confidence-inspiring budget that gives you a chance to say that there is no major hiccup, no major this thing, except for the positive direction in every sector that they can think of. Of course, it is meant before the elections that everyone knows it, and therefore to concentrate on Gyan, which is the poor, then the youth, the farmer, and women. I think those are the people who will require major incentives for their betterment, and that is what the government is actually trying. Whether it was the poor, I mean, you've seen 3 crore houses already being grounded and they're being made, and then to promise another 2 crore more. Believe me, that kind of impact it has in the rural countryside, not only for employment but also for demand creation for everything that goes into a pakka house. It's a very big promoter of not only GDP but also the personal security of people. We are moving almost away from a raj of mud houses to pakka concrete homes. Everyone is doing it at their local level, so it's a very big thing. For the youth, there's an immense promise, not only tech-savvy youth, but 50-year loans. I mean, can you imagine that? Interest-free loans to industry as well as to tech-savvy youth. You can't have it better. Then the farmer, of course, the MSP prices going up constantly. That's a great return to them. Plus, which we may not have covered right now, totally, but the fertilizer subsidy continuing is also a major input for the farmer. And for women, and it's absolutely clear that yes, 71 lakh homes to be given to them and on their name. Then you've also got for women the promise of 1 crore Lakpati Didis being made. So I think it's a great confidence booster for every section of society which we feel are somewhere from the bottom to the middle of the and then for middle class there's a separate scheme which is coming up for housing.
Yes,
it's a great thing if new cities have to be made.
I was in fact coming to that, Mr. Talwar. Just understanding your perspective, since you spoke about how we've increased our target, this particular government, as far as rural housing is concerned, and I'm glad you picked up on that aspect as well. For my next question, just simply understanding, how do you think the government will go about when they announce something for the middle class? Usually our discussion as far as a budget is concerned, we're always looking for some sort of a change in the taxes, in the tax slabs. That's all that we see as far as middle class is concerned. But this government comes out and says that we will now actually try to assist the middle class of the country to move away from renting homes to owning homes. How will that transform India as a whole, sir?
It is renting homes, and in the context of what? Unauthorized colonies, it said, slums. Yes. So that is something which, why it is essential is that whenever usually the authorities in the government for the 70s, what are they doing is industrial development. We do something for middle class housing. So I think when the details are worked out, it may mean easier loans, it may mean more deductions, it may also mean that land, like it was allotted maybe to cooperative societies earlier in the past, where the bulk housing has come up. So I think we'll have to wait for the details to come out, but it's a very big step that we need to provide housing, and maybe if it is actually housing which many of us have spoken about in the past and recent past, that yes, what you need is perhaps very good quality rental housing for the poor, with maybe 200 rupees a day rent, which is about 6,000 rupees itself, keeping in mind the cost of making a home, and otherwise ownership. Whoever can afford ownership, easier bank loans. And that's one sector which you must realize, that middle class, whenever they've taken a home loan, they've never defaulted on it. So that is something which every bank, every financial institution would love to finance. And if terms are made a little better for them to finance, interest rates are lowered, I'm sure it will be much greater housing. And thanks to housing, there'll be a very large multiplier effect in the various industries which supply material for housing. Whether it is cement and steel, whether it is flooring, whether it is glass, whether it is wood substitutes, whether it is ceramic industry, whether it's the doorknobs, whether it is bathroom fittings. I mean, you can very well imagine the kind of boost it will give to manufacturing. And maybe at some point of time, there will be a regulation that you can't import these. They must get a boost for local industry. So it again, which will add to employment. I think to provide for the poor and the middle classes should be the basis of making new towns. The government is doing so much for infrastructure development that it is along those infrastructure, whether it's rivers, whether it is railway lines, whether it is roads, whether it is airports, whether it is port towns itself. I think there is so much scope for reorganizing or actually planning these new towns and cities, starting from the poor and the middle class, and not just the rich and the industrial class. I think there's a very good orientation which is being given and in thought and in principle in this budget.
Absolutely, Mr. Talwar. I'm going to request you to stay on with us because some more reactions are coming in. But you really, set the tone quite rightly there as far as the housing industry is concerned. When the government makes a simple announcement in terms of allowing the middle class to now assisting them rather to own their own homes rather than renting them, it really does set into motion a larger chain of events. Let's listen into some more reactions coming in.
कांग्रेस सांसद इमरान प्रतापगढ़ी हमारे साथ हैं। सर, बजट पर क्या रिएक्शन आपका?
देखिए, भाषाई चतुराई है इस बजट में, सिर्फ और सिर्फ शब्दों का मायाजाल है, लेकिन जमीन पर उतरने के लिए इस सरकार के पुराने ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड को उठा के देखिए, जितने नारे हैं सारे झूठे हैं। बहुत हुई महंगाई की बार, अब की बार मोदी सरकार, ये नारा जो था वो पूरी तरह से झूठा है। आप बजट के नाम पर पढ़ कुछ दीजिए, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंट क्या कर पा रहे हैं, ये सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात है। तो इस बजट को सिर्फ और सिर्फ शब्दों की बाजीगरी के अलावा कुछ नहीं।
शुक्रिया। मोहम्मद अफसर, इंडिया न्यूज़, दिल्ली।
With us, DMK senior leader Dayanali Maran. What is the action on interim measures, sir?
The interim measures is very, very disappointing. One would have expected that this government would have done something good for the working class, middle class people. They just came with empty promises, nothing. They just all promises in thin air. And also, one would really like to ask that they're going to say that now they are saying that they're going to bring a white paper on the previous government. After 10 years, we were in power for 10 years. What did he do? It's just more of an election gimmick. And again, the southern states have been totally, nothing has been happening. All railway projects, nothing has been happening. It's a wasted money.
Thank you. राकेश कुमार सिंह फॉर न्यूज़।
हमारे साथ केंद्रीय मंत्री कृष्णपाल गुर्जर हैं। भाई साहब, जिस प्रकार से आज बजट पेश किया गया है, इस बजट को लेकर के आप क्या कहेंगे?
देखिए, ये नए भारत का विकसित भारत का बजट है और अभी ये अंतरिम बजट है। नया बजट लोकसभा चुनाव के बाद आने वाला है। तो लेकिन आज ख़ासतौर से इसमें प्रधानमंत्री आवास के लिए जो लक्ष्य रखा है, 2 करोड़ लोगों का नए घर बनाने का लक्ष्य रखा गया है। जो आंगनवाड़ी आशा वर्कर हैं, उनको भी आयुष्मान भारत में 5 लाख तक के इलाज में उनको रखा गया है। प्रति व्यक्ति की औसतन आय 50% बढ़ी है, दर्शाया गया है। टैक्स कलेक्शन बढ़ा है, टैक्स पेयर्स की रिटर्न विवरणी धारकों की संख्या 4 गुना हुई है, टैक्स पेयर 3 गुना बढ़े हैं। मतलब एक तरह से पूरा बजट एक विकसित भारत को वाला बजट है। जो लक्ष्य आदरणीय मोदी जी की सरकार ने रखा है 2047 में भारत विकसित भारत बने, उस पर केंद्रित बजट है।
कांग्रेस कह रही कि ये चुनावी बजट है और जहां तक घाटा है, लाखों करोड़ रुपया वित्तीय है घाटा है, तो इसको कैसे सरकार दे?
देखिए, अभी आज कहा है कि श्वेत पत्र अभी आने वाला है। 2014 में भारत की आर्थिक हालात क्या थे और इन 10 सालों में भारत की आर्थिक हालात कहाँ पहुँचे हैं, उस पर श्वेत पत्र आने वाला है।
जनसंख्या को लेकर के भी एक नई कमेटी गठित करने की बात की है, जो विकसित भारत के हिसाब से वो काम करेगी।
निश्चित तौर पर एक कमेटी कैपेसिटी की आज घोषणा वित्त मंत्री जी ने की है, जो अपने सुझाव देगी कि विकसित भारत के लिए हम जनसंख्या में क्या क्या प्रावधान कर सकते हैं।
थैंक यू। मनोहर केसरी, इंडिया न्यूज़, दिल्ली।
So that was, of course, a reaction coming in from Parliament on the Union budget that, of course, was presented today. Let me quickly go across to Rajiv Talwar, former CEO of DLF, for more on the budget 2024. Rajiv Talwar, as far as now, the real estate sector was concerned, how is the real estate sector viewing the interim budget today? And also, since there will be a full-fledged budget later this year, what would be your expectations from that? Also, your thoughts on the affordable housing scheme, which has been one of the, the main highlights of the Modi government, something that they have been very proud of, how they've been trying to create through the Awas Yojana and through the, through other schemes, affordable housing for the poor. And the FM did touch upon, the targets achieved and the outlay for that ahead too.
Yes. See, one thing I think we've all got to realize that the economy is on very firm grounds. Every sector is doing well, whether it is automobiles, whether it is steel, whether it is cement, whether it is industries which are set up in the organized sector, name it. And so is real estate also doing well. Now, the truth is that, yes, there is so much of pent-up demand because we were earlier only creating and managing shortages. Right now, we are actually looking forward to now doing much greater development in every segment, whether it is floors, whether it is new projects, whether it is commercial or retail. But the crucial thing is who was left out. I think ever since this government has come, there has been that, yes, let us provide under PMAY rural homes. 3 crore rural homes. You can imagine how much of employment must have been created locally, how much of demand must have been created, and what convenience was provided to people. Whether it is bulbs, whether it is gas, whether it is electricity connections, whether it is toilets, whether it is water, each one of those must have come in those homes. So therefore, it is a great multiplier of from there the government says that 2 crore more created, but for the foundation of it is very much essential that the bottom of the pyramid is catered to and the middle class is catered. Where ownership is concerned, and that no longer staying in rent homes in unauthorized families, there the middle class, even the lower middle class, will be able.
Okay, I think we have lost that connection with Rajiv Talwar there. Let me bring in Yogendra Kapoor as well, senior economist, into the discussion. Yogendra, as far as this budget today is concerned and the performance of the government on the economic front, how strongly do you view their chances for the upcoming elections, Yogendra Kapoor? I think we've lost Yogendra, unfortunately, there as well. Let me try and bring in Rakesh Nangia, Chairman Nangia Anderson India as well, who's also with us on this broadcast. Rakesh Nangia, it is at the end of the year, an election year budget as well. How confident do you believe the government will be, after their economic performance and after these indicators that Nirmala Sitharaman has tried to speak upon today, on their chances in the upcoming polls?
See, first of all, this interview you are calling a budget. I'm saying this is not a budget. This is not technically an interim budget. This is more or less vote on account. But a couple of things which government has done, it has showed a vision actually, what the government is looking forward actually. Give you a small idea. They've shown what type of infrastructure spending the government is going to look forward in next year, basically. So the government is opening a roadmap, giving a direction to the public at large, showing the thinking about it. Yes, they are going to look into these sectors which are very, very essential for the economy. Whether it was real estate, which Rajiv just mentioned to you, whether it is Niharika, which she mentioned to you on the skill part is there. But the intent of the government gives a lot of confidence. Yes, we are heading for a good time. We are heading to a close to a 7 trillion economy by the end of this decade. We are going to become the 3rd largest economy in the world. Our fiscal deficit, very important part, it is improvement from 5.9% to 5.8%. For the next year, the government gave a roadmap of 5.1% and then 4.5%. This is actually giving a visionary path, clear path. This is what the government expect. This is what the government want, and this way the government will be willing forward to work together. Touching the nerve center, whether it was railway, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is spending on it is concerned, whether it is a direct tax, actually, I tell you very interesting part. One of the things which I was expecting, and I think Yugandhar will be able to give it better, government could have touched individual taxation as a part of some relief to them, basically. And why I'm saying this, you know, the total number of tax assessees are 9.4 crores in India, 8.95 crores are individuals. If you would have done small tweaking here, 9 crores public could have saved some taxation or some relief could have been given. But I think government had made the intent clear yesterday when we heard the PM statement. They're not going to issue any sort of thing. It will be just a vote on account, limited touching of the budget. So that never came, though this was a little bit of expectation to come about it. Moreover, it gives a directional push. It gives a policy push. It gives you a vision, actually. And it is not on one thing, but number of sectors which the government announced, the way the government is looking forward. So I can tell you as an overall, a directional push, very good interim budget or vote on account, you can say. Policy matter, getting clarity on the government, where the government is heading for, where the government is going to put money, and touching the sensitive part of the economy, which was, I believe, is a very, very essential part of it.
Yes, let me also quickly rope in Niharika Sondhi, Managing Director, EdNet Consultants, back into the conversation as well. Niharika, as far as the the education sector is concerned, what do you make of the spending that the government has spoken about today on education, and also your expectations ahead? As I said, there is that full-fledged budget which we perhaps will get sometime in July. What are your expectations for the education sector from that?
So one of the most important things is, in the area of research and development, so our research and innovation would be a game changer because that would take our education into a global scenario, and most of the time our students are leaving the country to go overseas to countries like the United States for research opportunities. If we can provide them here while they are in whether high school, we can start as early as high school as well as at the university level, then we can prevent the brain drain, number one. Number two is I look forward to integrating AI and digital technologies, maybe in the future, AR, VR, metaverse, in our education system to align with the policy of NEP and focus a lot on our skills. And most importantly is, I think the encouragement to ed tech startups, that's where I think is going to be a big, huge key in bringing education to the remotest part, as I said earlier, because through e-learning, which will supplement as well as complement the physical classes, which could be happening in the schools, the digital libraries, which would help the students to enhance themselves, knowledge, wherever they could be. This is a different world we are living in. Especially, 4 years back, I would be in a different mode, but now it's like everything is so digital. And with our government and with our Prime Minister, being so visionary when it comes to digital transformation and when it talks about how to bring about literacy to each and every one by 2047 is definitely something that we are looking forward for. And when it comes to vocational training, I feel that the skills should be an integral part of our school as well as university learning. This can be done through clubs, organization, and kind of making it mandatory even for high school kids to get some kind of an internship so that they get hands-on learning. So it could be a part of the curriculum. A lot of universities overseas may have it as a part of the curriculum. So they can definitely make like 6 weeks or two months or whatever is convenient, which is appropriate with the syllabus. And then most importantly also is I feel that I was so impressed to know today that in the past 10 years, there has been a growth of 28% of women's girl education. And not only that, it's 48% of the girls' education is moving towards STEM. I thought that was fantastic. Encouraging women to move towards science and technology. And I have full faith in them because I'm a woman myself. But yes, and, encouraging women educations, girls' education, I would not say that they should have some kind of a reservation, but definitely acknowledging and recognizing women.
Just expanding that a bit. Also, a lot was spoken about how women on ground have been affected, through employment, through, of course, the creation of Lakpati Didis, and, much more. And interestingly, a Woman FM outlining that too today.
Yes, of course. And, now we can talk about women actually moving towards breaking glass ceilings. They're moving on top positions. But yes, I was very, very excited to hear about the amount of money or encouragement in EdTech startup. Because I'm coming from an education background, I can see this whole evolution happening, and I'm so positive that in the next 5 years, there's going to be a lot of changes which is going to happen, at least where the field of education is concerned.
Yes, okay. Let me, in fact, quickly take that back across to Rakesh Nangia as well. Rakesh Nangia, now, as far as, of course, the rail, metro, Namo Bharat and aviation sectors are concerned as well. Let's touch a bit about those, about how, connectivity is really transformed under the government, and that's something that, of course, will continue to do so, is what the FM said, be it through the expansion of the Namo Bharat, which we're expecting now very soon between Delhi and Meerut, to other, larger cities as well, through more metro connectivity, through more airports being created. We saw General V.K. Singh touch upon that as well. He's MOS Civil Aviation under Mr. Scindia, in fact. And, through, of course, the Udan scheme, trying to connect smaller cities. And then rail as well. From rail, corridors for logistics, freight, and more, normal bogies being upgraded to Vande Bharat standards, because Vande Bharat is a whole new standard of rail travel, isn't it, Rakesh Nangia?
I think the transportation is the backbone for any country. And I tell you, a Prime Minister has expressed that they are working seriously to reduce the logistic cost in terms of to improve the quality of the transportation, make it to a faster medium is there, and have a dedicated corridor. And you see that how many dedicated corridors have come, and see the distance and the timings they are going to do it, how much the cost is going to be reduced. So logistics, transportation, speed, delivery is the key, is the backbone for any economy is concerned. And India was seriously lagging in this thing. And you see, in only last 4 or 5 years, and especially when the railways got subsumed in the main budget, there was a dramatic change that came in the railways concern. Railways will be a transformed baby, I can tell you that today. They have a budget of almost 2 lakh crore in the infrastructure. The way they are spending money of broad gauging it, speed of the train is concerned, dedicated corridor is concerned. It is new stations are coming, equivalent to airports stations are going to likely to come up. There will be a complete transformation in railways in the next few years to come. Equal parallel, the younger brother or senior brother is the aviation. Never in the history, I can tell you, every week you're getting an airport in India for next 5 years. Every week, can we imagine an airport coming on 4 airports coming in a month basis? Yes. Never imagine like that.
Absolutely.
See, $100,000 billion order on aviation by the Indian companies. See the change, see the size that happened, see the transformation that is taking place in the airports. Bangalore airport was the best airport in the world, was voted as the best, second, Terminal 2, best airport in the world. There was a survey a month back. See the transformation that has come in the aviation. They will be the backbone, the transportation, everything. I see a massive splurge. I see the massive expansion in trade. I see the facilities coming to the consumer. Ease of travel is coming, and a good alternative medium of transport at a reasonable price.
Okay, let me also quickly bring in Niranjan Hiranandani as well onto the show now. He's MD Hiranandani Group, of course. Thank you very much, Mr. Hiranandani, for speaking with us today. What is your first comment on the interim budget 2024 from what you heard from the FM today in Parliament? What did you make of it?
I think it's a fantastic way forward which the Prime Minister has indicated through the budget, through the Finance Minister. And she has clearly indicated the way forward for the next 5 years as to what are the segmentation. As we just heard about the infrastructure, whether it was in A direction, B direction, C direction, we heard about agriculture, we talked about the competitiveness in the market. The biggest story, I think, was very clear, was the 5.1% fiscal consolidation. I think that's a very big story, because a large amount of money will now be available in the capital markets, in the debt market, in the bond market, which is going to see a wonderful change. And overall, I hope that the interest rates will also come down. Of course, that depends on the Reserve Bank governor and the JPC committee, which is looking after it. But I feel that if interest rates really come down, you could see a double-digit growth of the GDP by the end of the year, and not 7% or whatever they are talking about just now. I'm more sure that with the kind of growth taking place over here, this is going to see a sea change, which we have never seen before. But more than anything else, housing is seeing a huge amount of growth. We see 2 crore houses in the next 5 years in the affordable segment. Looking at the slums, looking at the middle income, looking at the rental segment, all these people are going to now get houses with the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Phase 2. And I think that's going to be a big story that we are going to see roll out very quickly in terms of the thing. Already the statement has been made, and I'm looking forward to that kind of introduction which takes place. So along with housing, there is a multiplier effect of more than 260 industries, plus the employment issue, which he didn't mention, but is going to be taken care of, because the real estate and infrastructure is the second largest employer in India. But she did mention about skilling. And I think that is important, because real estate and infrastructure, in spite of the growth, we are not getting skilled workers. So the combination of employment, combination of taking care of the middle class, taking care of the poorer class in terms of subsidies and other things that they are talking about, and at the same time taking care of industry growth and capital markets that they think. The second point which I want to make is,
yes,
the fact in the last 5 years, we have met so many international challenges, whether it was COVID, where we did the vaccine, whether it was the Russia-Ukraine war, where the issue of petroleum, every situation was met. And I think that's a huge plus for India. I think many times we cannot foresee the future. We cannot know what the future beholds for us. But India can make it. And today, when he talks about the Amrit Kal of 2047, I promise you, it looks it's going to be faster.
Absolutely, because that's something that, of course, was spoken about today. The road to Viksit Bharat, how we can become a developed country by 2047. Do you believe that roadmap has been laid out? Because, from capex spending to, of course, also uplifting the poor through the main schemes of the Modi government, be it for Jal or for Awas or for, of course, electricity as well. These are all going to have to come together if we want to truly achieve that vision, that dream for 2047, Mr. Hiranandani.
It's amazing. I've never heard of a foresight of the next 5 years and 15 years being rolled out in a single budget statement with clarity in each of the segments of how they are going to do it. It's never happened. I've never heard a speech which is so clear about the way forward. And the target to be achieved in 15 years, a target to be achieved in the sector in 5 years, target to be achieved in the next year in terms of infrastructure, target for the deficit financing in this particular year. If you hear this story and really put all the things together, it's amazing. I've heard so many budgets and so many stories and so many lectures, but I never heard something like this before in my whole life. So I think the clarity with which the budget, the finance minister rolled out the budget with all the, of course, she talked about Kal yesterday, but she's talked about Aane Wala Kal, which is, I think, very important for each one of us to know. And today, there is a hope for India. Can you imagine that we are going to be a developed nation? Can you imagine that there is going to be prosperity in India? And specifying where the prosperity will come and how it will come. It never happened before. I'm really thrilled with the budget speech. I cannot imagine a better speech for a budget speech at the interim level.
Absolutely. No doubt. Okay, well, let's leave it at that. My thanks to our guests for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.